Princess Nara stood on the balcony of her palace, her eyes fixed on the glowing horizon. Velora's sky was always full of color, but today it felt different. The winds were still, and the distant stars shimmered brighter than usual. Nara had grown up in a palace surrounded by light and music, but she had never felt such a strange anticipation before. She sensed that something new had come to her world. The palace garden stretched below her, full of tall crystal trees that reflected the sun's rays in a million patterns. The air was sweet with the scent of flowers that sang soft tunes when the wind passed through their petals. Nara loved her home, but she often felt that life here was too predictable. The people of Velora were advanced, but they valued routine over curiosity. Nara longed for adventure. A sudden flash in the sky made her gasp. A small vessel, unlike anything she had ever seen, descended from the clouds. It moved smoothly, almost like a living creature. Its surface gleamed silver and blue, reflecting the garden below. The palace guards immediately noticed it, and they raised their weapons in alert. Nara's heart raced. Who or what could arrive unannounced in the royal garden? She leaned over the balcony to get a better view. The vessel touched the ground gently, and a ramp extended. From it emerged a human being. He looked ordinary at first glance, but there was something in his posture and the calm confidence in his movements that made him stand out. The human walked carefully, observing the palace and its surroundings. His eyes were sharp and intelligent. He carried no weapons, yet he moved as if he could defend himself against anything. Nara felt an instant connection, a strange sense of trust that she could not explain. The palace guards approached the visitor cautiously. "Identify yourself," one of them commanded. Their voices were calm, but the tension was clear. The human lifted his head and spoke in perfect Veloran, though with a soft accent. "I am Kian. I come in peace." His voice was steady and firm. It carried authority without arrogance. The guards exchanged uncertain glances. Velora had never seen a human before, and most of them believed humans were fragile and untrustworthy. But Kian's presence seemed different. He stood tall, his eyes scanning everything carefully, learning fast. Nara descended the balcony quickly, moving past the guards. She felt a strange determination. Something told her that this human was important, that he had come for a reason she could not yet understand. "Wait," she said softly. "Do not harm him. Let me speak with him first." The guards hesitated, but they obeyed the princess. Nara walked toward Kian, her robes brushing the garden floor. She studied him closely. His skin was fair, and his hair dark. His eyes, however, were what caught her attention the most. They were bright, curious, and full of life. There was no fear in them, only focus and quiet strength. "Who are you?" she asked. "And why have you come to Velora?" Kian bowed slightly. "Princess Nara, I am called Kian. I have traveled a long distance to reach your planet. My purpose is to serve and protect those who need guidance and safety." Nara blinked. She had heard many visitors speak of service and loyalty, but few sounded sincere. There was no exaggeration in Kian's voice, no attempt to impress. She felt her heart race with curiosity. "Protect," she repeated. "From what?" Kian's eyes shifted to the horizon, where the winds were stirring the top leaves of the crystal trees. "I cannot know yet. But danger often comes unexpectedly. I have been trained to sense it and act before it arrives." Nara felt a shiver run down her spine. There was truth in his words, and somehow she believed him. Velora was a peaceful planet, but the universe beyond was unpredictable. Perhaps having someone like Kian would change everything. The queen arrived shortly after, her presence commanding attention. Her robes flowed like liquid light, and her crown sparkled as if it held a fragment of the stars. She observed Kian with careful eyes. "Princess," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Who is this visitor?" Nara met her mother's gaze. "Mother, he is my human." The queen raised her brow, startled. "You're human?" "Yes," Nara replied without hesitation. "He is not just a visitor. I feel, he is here for me and for Velora. I trust him." The queen studied Kian carefully. The human did not flinch under her gaze. He nodded respectfully and said, "Your Majesty, I am here to protect and serve those who need it most. I ask only to prove my loyalty." The queen remained silent for a long moment, weighing her instincts against her daughter's conviction. Finally, she said, "Very well. He may stay under supervision. But understand this, Nara, a human is fragile. They are not like us. They do not possess the resilience of a Valoran. You must be careful." Nara simply nodded. She already knew Kian's presence would change everything. In the following days, Kian adapted quickly to life in the palace. He studied Valoran language, technology, and customs with remarkable speed. The palace staff were skeptical at first, but Kian's calm demeanor and helpfulness slowly won them over. He noticed small details others overlooked, predicting when machinery might fail or when supplies might run low. Nara often spent hours with him, watching as he quietly solved problems no one else could. They walked through the crystal gardens, sharing stories of their worlds. Nara found herself laughing more than she had in years. Kian's humor was simple but clever, and he had a way of seeing life differently. One evening, as the twin suns set, casting pink and purple shadows across the palace, Nara asked Kian, "Have you always been like this? Calm, ready, knowing what to do?" Kian smiled faintly. "I have trained all my life to be prepared. But even I do not know everything. I learn every day, just like you." Nara felt a warmth in her chest. Here was someone who was different, yet he did not feel foreign. He belonged. Somehow, he belonged. Then, a warning signal rang through the palace. A minor energy disturbance had been detected near the eastern wall of the city. Guards rushed to investigate, but Kian was already moving. He ran lightly, faster than most of the Valoran guards, and reached the disturbance first. A malfunctioning drone had lost control and was threatening the palace's energy core. The guards hesitated, unsure how to stop it without damaging the core. Kian acted quickly. Using his knowledge of human mechanics and Valoran technology, he stabilized the drone and redirected its energy safely. The queen arrived shortly after, her face a mixture of surprise and approval. "He did what you thought impossible," she said to Nara. "He saved the palace from damage." Nara smiled at Kian. "See, mother. I told you he is special. My human is not just here by chance." The queen studied Kian carefully, realizing that the human's presence was indeed extraordinary. Velora had always relied on their advanced technology and superior skills, but this human had done what none of their own could. As night fell, the palace glowed under the light of the twin moons. Nara and Kian stood on the balcony, looking out over the city. "I feel safer with you here," Nara admitted quietly. Kian turned to her, his expression serious but gentle. "I will always protect you, princess. That is my purpose. Whatever comes, I will be ready." Nara felt a mix of awe and gratitude. Somehow, she knew that Kian's arrival marked the beginning of something greater. Velora was safe for now, but the universe was vast and unpredictable. Having a human by her side made her feel prepared for the unknown. The stars shone brighter than ever that night, and the winds carried the soft hum of the crystal trees. Somewhere beyond the horizon, something waited. Nara did not know what it was, but with Kian there, she was ready to face it. And so, the human named Kian became part of Velora, a silent guardian in a world of light and wonder. He would prove that courage and loyalty could come from the most unexpected places, and that even a fragile human could stand between danger and those they loved. The palace was quiet, but Nara's heart was full. She knew that this was only the beginning. Her human had arrived, and the story of Velora would never be the same again. The morning sun bathed the palace gardens in golden light. Princess Nara moved among the crystal trees, her eyes searching for Kian. She found him near the edge of the palace courtyard, examining the structure of a small transport drone. He was focused, his hands moving carefully as he adjusted its mechanisms. Nara approached quietly, curious. "You work fast," she said. Kian looked up and smiled gently. "It is simple once you understand how the parts work together. Everything has a pattern. The challenge is to see it clearly." Nara nodded. She had watched many Velorans at work, yet none approached their tasks with such calm observation. Kian did not rush, and he did not panic. He studied and adapted, solving problems that would have taken others hours. "You are different," Nara said softly. "The others think too much about rules. You see what is important." Kian placed the drone down carefully. "Rules are useful, but danger does not always follow rules. That is why I prepare for the unexpected." The princess smiled. She liked that he thought ahead. "I want to learn from you," she admitted. "Will you teach me how to see what you see?" Kian studied her for a moment. "I can guide you, but seeing is not the same as understanding. You must practice and pay attention to small details. You must be ready to act when the moment comes." Nara felt a thrill of excitement. She had grown up learning about Veloran leadership and diplomacy, but she had never trained in protection or strategy. With Kian, she could see a new world of possibilities. Over the next days, Kian began teaching Nara in the quiet corners of the palace. He showed her how to move silently, how to observe without being noticed, and how to understand patterns in the environment. He demonstrated techniques for predicting the movement of both people and machines. Nara absorbed every lesson eagerly. The palace staff watched with curiosity. Many of them doubted that a human could teach a Veloran princess anything useful. Yet as the days passed, Nara grew more confident and precise. Her movements were sharper, her awareness higher. Kian's training was changing her. One afternoon, Kian led Nara to the edge of the palace walls. Below them stretched the city of Velora, sparkling in sunlight. "Look at the city," he said. "Notice how people move, how energy flows through their machines, how guards position themselves. Everything has a rhythm." Nara studied carefully. She could see patterns she had never noticed before. People moved predictably, machines followed repeated cycles, and even the wind seemed to follow paths that could be used to her advantage. Kian smiled. "You are learning quickly. Soon you will notice dangers before they appear. That is the key to protection." Nara felt pride and excitement. For the first time, she felt she could truly act to defend herself and her people. She realized that humans, though smaller and less strong than Velorans, could see the world differently. Their perspective was an advantage. The next challenge came sooner than expected. A group of palace workers discovered a malfunction in one of the energy conduits that powered the outer walls. It was not life-threatening yet, but if ignored, it could create a weak point for attackers. Kian immediately examined the conduit. "This is clever work," he said. "Someone designed it with precision, but it is not perfect. We can fix it before it causes problems." The guards and engineers looked on as Kian worked. He moved faster and more carefully than anyone else, using both human skill and Valoran tools. In a short time, he repaired the conduit and reinforced it. The palace walls now had no weakness. The queen arrived, observing the scene. She had grown increasingly curious about Kian, though she still felt caution. She spoke quietly to Nara. "He does things no Valoran can. But remember, he is still human. He cannot survive everything we can." Nara nodded, but she felt a deep trust in Kian. She knew that even if humans were fragile, their minds and courage were powerful. That evening, Nara and Kian sat in the crystal garden, watching the twin moons rise. The soft glow reflected on the metallic surfaces of the palace, creating a peaceful light. "You trust me," Kian said, breaking the silence. Nara turned to him. "I do. You are brave, clever, and calm. You protect me without fear. How can I not trust you?" Kian's eyes softened. "I protect because I choose to. I am not bound by obligation. I act because I see what must be done. That is all any protector can do." Nara smiled. "Then I am lucky. I have chosen you, and you have chosen to stay." Days passed, and the bond between them grew stronger. Kian was no longer just a visitor in the palace, he was part of its daily life. He trained guards, taught Nara, and even shared stories of his home world. Nara learned that humans lived differently from Velorans. They valued action, creativity, and improvisation. Their strengths lay not in their physical power, but in their minds and hearts. The palace began to change. Guards became more alert, engineers more careful, and even the queen started to notice improvements. Velora had always been safe, but Kian showed them that vigilance and foresight were as important as technology. One evening, a small alarm sounded in the palace. Nara and Kian were walking through the gardens when a scout ran up, breathless. "Princess, there is movement near the eastern forest," the scout reported. "It seems unusual. Perhaps intruders." Kian's eyes narrowed. "We should investigate carefully. Nara, stay close to me." They moved quickly and quietly through the palace corridors and out into the gardens. The moonlight reflected off the crystal trees, casting soft shadows. Kian guided Nara through the paths, showing her how to blend with the environment. When they reached the edge of the forest, they saw movement among the trees. It was not large, but it was precise. Small devices hovered near the treetops, scanning for energy sources. Kian observed carefully. "They are scouts," he whispered. "Someone is testing Velora. We need to act without being seen." Nara's heart raced, but she trusted Kian completely. She followed his instructions, moving silently and watching the patterns he pointed out. Together, they observed the intruders, learning their methods. After some time, Kian signaled. "We know enough. Return to the palace and prepare defenses. We will not attack, but we will be ready." Nara nodded. She realized that protecting Velora was more than stopping attacks, it was understanding threats and preparing before they arrived. Kian's methods were different, but they worked. The queen was informed of the scouting. She observed Kian's report carefully. He sees what we miss, she admitted quietly to herself. Perhaps humans are stronger than I believed, if only in ways we have ignored. Over the following weeks, Kian continued to train Nara and the guards. The palace became more vigilant, and small improvements were made everywhere. Nara learned to think ahead, to notice small changes in her environment, and to act decisively when needed. The bond between the princess and her human protector grew. They shared quiet moments in the Crystal Garden, discussing strategy, life, and the strange universe beyond Velora. Nara began to understand that courage was not only physical strength, but also intelligence, creativity, and loyalty. One night, as they sat under the twin moons, Nara asked Kian, "Do you ever fear what is coming?" Kian looked at the horizon, thoughtful. Fear is natural, but it cannot control action. We prepare, we watch, we act. That is all anyone can do. Nara nodded. She felt stronger because of him. She knew that together, they could face whatever challenges awaited Velora. The palace was quiet, but the winds carried hints of change. Kian and Nara were ready. Their bond had grown, and Velora had a new kind of strength. The princess had her human, and the human had chosen his place, by her side, ready to defend her and her world against any threat that might come. For the first time, Nara felt that the universe was not so uncertain. With Kian's guidance and courage, she could face what lay ahead. And Kian, with his quiet strength, had found a purpose he had never known until now. Together, they would protect Velora, learn from each other, and prepare for the challenges that the stars held. The bond of human and princess had begun, and the palace of Velora was safer because of it. The morning sun rose over Velora, painting the sky with streaks of pink and gold. Princess Nara stood on her balcony, her eyes scanning the horizon. The peaceful city below shimmered in the light, but she felt a quiet tension in the air. The recent arrival of Kian, her human protector, had changed everything. The palace felt safer, yet Nara sensed that this calm might not last. Kian was already in the courtyard, moving among the palace guards. He was checking their positions, observing their drills, and noting their reactions. Nara walked down the marble steps to join him. "Good morning, Princess," Kian said, nodding respectfully. "The city is calm, but I sense movement in the outskirts. We must remain alert." Nara frowned. "Movement? What kind of movement?" Kian's eyes scanned the horizon. "Something unusual. The patterns are not like normal travelers or traders. I believe scouts from outside Velora may be approaching." The princess felt a chill. Velora had never faced a serious threat in generations. Their technology was advanced, their defenses strong, and their people confident. But Kian's instincts were sharp, and she trusted him completely. "We should inform the queen," Nara said. Kian nodded. "Yes, and we should prepare the palace. Even a small force can cause disruption if we are unready." Inside the palace, the queen listened to Kian's report with measured calm. "You believe these are scouts," she said. "Are they hostile?" Kian shook his head. "I cannot say for certain. But their patterns suggest intelligence and caution. They are testing our defenses. That usually comes before a larger attack." The queen studied him carefully. She had doubted humans at first, but Kian had proven himself with small threats and repairs. Now, his insight into potential danger was remarkable. "Very well," the queen said. "We will strengthen defenses and observe closely. But remember, Kian, a human is not as resilient as a Valoran. You must be careful. Nara interjected, her voice firm. Mother, Kian knows what he is doing. We trust him. He has protected the palace before, and he will do it again. The queen studied her daughter, seeing the confidence in her eyes. So be it, she said. Prepare the palace. I want every guard ready for orders. For the next few hours, Kian moved through the palace with precision. He advised the guards on positioning, helped engineers reinforce critical points, and worked with Nara to develop a system of alerts and signals. His instructions were clear and efficient, yet simple enough for anyone to follow. As the day passed, scouts did appear. Small, fast drones hovered above the city outskirts, scanning the area. They moved with purpose, avoiding detection by most sensors. Kian studied them carefully, noting their speed, their angles, and their communication signals. These are intelligent machines, he said. They are testing our response. We must remain calm and not reveal our full strength. Nara watched him, amazed at his focus. The scouts were small, but their presence was unnerving. She realized that Kian's ability to remain calm under pressure was one of his greatest strengths. That evening, the palace council gathered. Velora's generals discussed strategy, but Kian remained silent until the end. Then he spoke, his voice calm and firm. Do not rely solely on technology, he said. The scouts will adapt to sensors and weapons. We must use observation, movement, and timing. Anticipate their actions before they occur. The generals frowned. You suggest we act differently than our standard protocols, one asked. Kian nodded. Yes. Your technology is powerful, but predictable. Humans have survived for generations by thinking differently, by seeing opportunities others miss. Combine your strength with adaptability, and you will succeed. Nara spoke next. Mother, I trust Kian. He has protected the palace before. We should follow his plan. The queen remained silent for a moment, then slowly nodded. We will try your method, Kian. But proceed with caution. Night fell over Velora, and the city seemed calm. Yet Kian, Nara, and the guards were awake and alert. Every shadow, every movement in the distance, was observed and noted. Kian had assigned specific posts, designed patrol routes, and even trained Nara to recognize patterns in the drone's behavior. Suddenly, a sharp signal rang through the palace. The scouts had made their move. Kian rushed to the command center, where screens displayed the approaching machines. They moved in coordinated formations, testing the walls, sensors, and patrols. Follow my lead, Kian said to Nara. Stay close and watch. Learn from what you see. The princess nodded, her heart racing but steady. She had trained for this, and she trusted her human completely. Kian analyzed the drone's movements, then signaled to the guards. Hold positions. Let them come closer, then act. Focus on patterns, not speed. Predict their next moves. The palace guards hesitated, unsure of this unconventional approach. But Kian's calm and precise commands gave them confidence. They watched as the drones approached, seemingly confident in their superiority. Then Kian acted. He moved quickly, using simple yet clever tactics to disrupt the scouts' formation. He directed the guards to create controlled energy pulses, forcing the drones to change paths. He anticipated each maneuver, guiding the palace forces with a precision no one had expected. Nara followed, her eyes sharp. She observed how Kian predicted actions and adjusted in real time. It was unlike anything she had seen. Velora's strength was in power and technology, but Kian's approach was in observation, prediction, and adaptability. By the time the scouts realized they were trapped in a controlled perimeter, Kian and the palace guards had already neutralized most of them. The remaining machines retreated, sending signals that hinted at a larger force waiting beyond the horizon. The queen arrived, her face showing both relief and astonishment. "You were right," she said to Kian. "Your strategy worked. We avoided damage, and the scouts retreated." Kian nodded. "We cannot be complacent. This was only a test. The real threat will come soon. We must continue to prepare." Nara approached him, her eyes shining. "You saved the palace, Kian. You protected everyone. How did you know what to do?" Kian smiled faintly. "I observed. I adapted. I acted when the opportunity appeared. That is all a protector can do." The queen studied Kian closely. She had always believed Velorans were superior, but the human had shown a strength she could not ignore. "Perhaps humans have abilities we have underestimated," she admitted quietly. For the next days, Kian continued training and preparing. He taught Nara and the palace guards new strategies, combining Veloran technology with human insight. The princess learned to anticipate threats, to move quickly, and to think ahead. The bond between them deepened, built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Nara and Kian stood on the palace balcony. The city below was calm, but both of them knew that the universe beyond Velora was unpredictable. "You have taught me so much," Nara said. "I feel stronger, braver, and smarter because of you." Kian looked at her with quiet pride. "You are learning quickly, princess. The best leaders are those who adapt, observe, and act wisely. Courage is important, but so is preparation." Nara nodded. "I understand now. Humans may be smaller and less strong than Velorans, but your minds and hearts are powerful." Kian smiled. "That is all any protector can offer. The strength of a human is in choice, courage, and loyalty. I chose to protect you. That is my power." The night passed quietly, but the air carried a sense of anticipation. The scouts' retreat did not mean the threat was gone. Somewhere in the darkness, larger forces were waiting, testing Velora, and preparing for the moment to strike. Nara felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She knew that with Kian by her side, she could face anything. His presence had changed the palace, the city, and even her own sense of courage. She was no longer a princess waiting for protection. She was a leader, learning from a human who saw the universe differently. The stars above Velora shone brightly, a silent reminder of the vast challenges ahead. Kian and Nara were ready. The palace was prepared, the guards were alert, and the princess had learned to trust in both herself and her human protector. The universe was full of uncertainty, but for the first time, Nara felt ready to face it. And Kian, her human, would be by her side, ready to protect her, the palace, and the world of Velora from any threat that came from the stars. The first light of dawn spilled over the city of Velora, casting a soft golden glow over the crystal towers and the palace gardens. Princess Nara stood at the balcony, her eyes scanning the horizon. The peaceful city she loved so much now seemed fragile under the vast sky. The scouts that had tested the city days before were only the beginning. Kian had warned her that the real threat was yet to come. Kian was already in the palace command center, moving among the Veloran guards and generals. His calm demeanor contrasted with the rising tension in the room. Nara entered, walking quickly to his side. "They are approaching faster than I expected," Kian said, studying the data screens. "The fleet is large, intelligent, and well armed. They have learned from the scouts' retreat." Nara's heart raced. "Are we ready?" Kian looked at her, his expression steady. "We are prepared as much as possible. But readiness alone will not win the battle. We must be clever, adaptable, and brave. That is how we will protect Velora." The Queen arrived, her presence commanding attention. "Kian," she said, her voice calm but firm, "the city relies on you. Do not underestimate the enemy. Protect the princess at all costs." Kian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I will do everything I can. I will keep her safe and fight for Velora." Nara approached Kian and took his hand briefly. "We will face this together," she said. Kian nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over him. The first warning alarms rang across Velora as enemy ships appeared at the edge of the atmosphere. They moved in precise formations, faster and more coordinated than anything Velora had faced. The palace walls shimmered with energy shields, and the Veloran army prepared for battle. Yet Kian knew that technology alone would not be enough. He moved quickly, giving instructions to both the guards and the engineers. "Use the energy shields strategically," he said. "Don't just activate them. Think about timing and placement. The enemy will test our defenses. Stay adaptable." The fleet advanced, and the first wave of enemy ships fired energy pulses toward Velora. The shields absorbed much of the impact, but the tremors shook the city. Nara watched, tense but determined, as Kian coordinated the defense. He noticed patterns in the enemy attacks that the Veloran generals had missed. "Their fleet moves in cycles," he explained. "They anticipate standard defenses. We will act differently. We will use their expectations against them." The palace soldiers followed his instructions. Energy barriers were activated and deactivated at precise intervals, forcing the enemy ships to adjust mid-flight. Kian directed counterattacks, guiding Veloran strike drones into positions where they could disable enemy vessels efficiently. The first wave of the battle ended with minimal damage to Velora. The enemy ships retreated momentarily, regrouping for a second, larger attack. Kian took Nara to a high vantage point in the palace to observe the battlefield. "Princess, stay close," he said. "You will see how we act under pressure. Learn from what you observe." The second wave came with a forceful strike. Enemy ships unleashed energy blasts, targeting the city's outer defenses. Veloran soldiers fought bravely, but the sheer speed and coordination of the attackers caused strain. Kian's eyes scanned every movement, noting weaknesses, timing, and openings. "Now," he said, signaling to the guards. "Move drones to flank the left formation. Adjust the energy shields in the sequence. Lure them toward the trap zones." The palace soldiers hesitated for a moment, but Kian's calm voice guided them. Slowly, they followed his commands. The enemy ships, expecting standard defensive measures, flew directly into the carefully arranged traps. Energy pulses disabled their engines, and Veloran drones struck with precision. Nara watched, amazed at Kian's strategy. He was not relying on brute force alone. He was thinking, observing, predicting, and adapting. Every move he made increased the city's safety while minimizing casualties. Then, a warning signal flashed red. A strike team of enemy ships had broken through the outer defenses and were heading straight for the palace. Kian's eyes narrowed. "They aim for the core. We cannot let them reach it." He ran ahead with Nara, moving through corridors and stairways that led to critical positions in the palace. Guards followed, trusting his every step. The strike team approached swiftly, but Kian was ready. Using a combination of Valoran technology and his human insight, he activated energy traps and blocked the intruder's path. The battle inside the palace was tense. Kian directed soldiers to control key points, using speed and strategy rather than sheer strength. The enemy ships were strong, but they underestimated his ability to anticipate and act. One of the enemy vessels fired directly at the area where Nara and Kian stood. Without hesitation, Kian pushed the princess behind a protective energy shield. The blast struck the floor, sending debris into the air, but Nara remained safe. "You are always so fearless," Nara said, her voice trembling slightly. Kian looked at her calmly. "Fear does not control me. I focus on what must be done. You are safe because I act, not because I am unafraid." The palace guards, inspired by Kian's bravery, fought with renewed determination. Together, they pushed back the intruders, forcing the enemy ships to retreat temporarily. The palace had withstood the first major attack, but Kian knew the enemy would return stronger. He guided Nara to the observation deck. From there, they could see the remaining enemy fleet regrouping near the horizon. "They will come again," he said. "We must be ready, and we must anticipate their changes." The queen joined them, her expression serious. "Kian, you have saved Velora from disaster. Your strategy is extraordinary. I admit that humans are stronger in ways I did not understand." Kian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, the strength of a human lies in courage, adaptability, and loyalty. I chose to protect Velora and Princess Nara. That is my purpose." The princess smiled. "And you have done it well. You have proven that strength is not only in power, but also in thought and action." As night fell, the city prepared for another wave of attacks. Kian continued to train the guards, adjust the defenses, and analyze the enemy's strategy. Nara observed and learned, understanding the importance of preparation, timing, and trust. Hours later, the enemy returned with a larger fleet, their ships moving faster and attacking more aggressively. The battle was intense. Energy blasts lit the sky, drones clashed in midair, and palace defenses strained under pressure. Kian moved through the battlefield like a conductor, guiding every move. He anticipated enemy attacks, redirected energy flows, and positioned soldiers for maximum effect. Nara watched closely, learning how observation, quick thinking, and courage could change the outcome of even the most dangerous situations. The enemy's second wave was stronger, but Kian's planning and strategy gave Velora the advantage. Slowly, the attackers were forced to retreat, their ships disabled or driven off. The city remained safe, thanks to the human who had become its protector. The palace council gathered after the battle. The queen spoke with respect and admiration. "Kian, you have shown that humans possess strengths beyond what we imagined. Your courage, insight, and loyalty have saved Velora." Kian bowed. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I acted because it was necessary. I protect because I choose to. That is all a protector can do." Nara stepped forward, her eyes shining. "My human has protected the palace and the people. He has shown me what courage truly means. Together, we will be ready for whatever comes next." The stars above Velora shone brightly, reflecting in the crystal towers of the palace. Kian and Nara stood together, knowing that the battle had only begun. The universe was vast and unpredictable, but they were prepared to face it. The bond between human and princess had grown stronger, and Velora had learned that strength came not only from technology but also from loyalty, courage, and intelligence. As the city settled into a cautious calm, Kian surveyed the horizon. Somewhere beyond the stars, greater threats waited. But he was ready. With Princess Nara by his side, and the palace guards prepared under his guidance, Velora had a new kind of strength. A human had shielded the planet with courage, strategy, and heart, proving that even the most unexpected protector could make a difference. The battle had been won, but the war for Velora's safety was far from over. Kian knew that the coming days would demand even greater courage, sharper strategy, and unwavering loyalty. And he was ready to meet that challenge. Princess Nara looked at him with trust and admiration. "We will face the universe together," she said. Kian nodded. "And we will protect Velora together. Whatever comes, I will stand between danger and those I serve." The palace walls glowed softly under the twin moons, a symbol of the city's resilience. The human had proven himself, and the princess had gained a protector unlike any other. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Nara felt confident that Velora could face whatever challenges the stars held. The dawn over Velora was quiet, the sky painted in soft hues of gold and pink. The city was still recovering from the attack, but the crystal towers gleamed in the early sunlight. Princess Nara stood on the palace balcony, looking over the city she had learned to protect alongside Kian. The events of the past days had changed everything. Velora was no longer just a peaceful world, it had learned the value of vigilance, preparation, and courage. Kian moved beside her, calm and steady as ever. The battle had been won, but he knew their work was not yet finished. He surveyed the city, noting areas that needed repair and places where defenses could be strengthened. Nara watched him with admiration. The human had proven his courage and intelligence beyond any expectation. "Velora feels different now," Nara said softly. "The city seems alive, aware. I think it knows we can protect it." Kian smiled faintly. "The city has always had strength, princess. But strength alone is not enough. People must see what they protect, and they must learn to act. Today, you and the others showed that courage and preparation matter as much as technology." Nara nodded. She remembered the battle vividly, the speed of the enemy, the precision of Kian's strategy, the way the palace guards followed his lead without hesitation. She felt pride, not just in herself, but in everyone who had fought for Velora. And most of all, she felt gratitude for Kian. The queen entered the balcony, her robes flowing like liquid light. Her eyes softened as she looked at Nara and Kian. "The city owes you both a debt," she said. "Kian, you have done what no Veloran could have anticipated. You protected the princess and guided the defenses with unmatched skill." Kian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I acted because it was necessary. I chose to protect Princess Nara and Velora. That is all a protector can do." The queen studied him carefully. For generations, she had believed that Velorans were unmatched in skill and intelligence. Yet this human, small, and seemingly ordinary, had demonstrated abilities that surpassed expectation. "Perhaps we have underestimated humans," she said quietly. "Their minds, courage, and loyalty are remarkable." Nara smiled. "Mother, Kian is more than remarkable. He is my human. He has protected me, taught me, and helped Velora survive. He has shown all of us that courage can come from anyone, no matter their size or origin." The queen's expression softened. "Then it is only right that you be recognized." She turned to Kian. "From this day forward, you are not just a visitor in our palace. You are the royal protector of Velora. You have earned a place of honor and trust. Kian's eyes reflected humility and quiet pride. I am honored, Your Majesty. I will continue to serve Velora and Princess Nara to the best of my ability. Nara reached out and took his hand. We will face the future together. I know we can overcome any challenge, as long as we trust each other. The Queen nodded. This day is a reminder that true strength is not only in power or technology. It is also in courage, intelligence, and loyalty. Velora has been fortunate to witness this firsthand. In the days that followed, Velora began to rebuild. Repairs were made to the outer walls, drones were reinforced, and energy systems were recalibrated. Kian worked alongside engineers and guards, offering insights that combined human ingenuity with Veloran technology. The palace had changed, and so had the city. The citizens of Velora began to notice the difference. Stories of the human who had protected the princess spread throughout the city. People marveled at his courage and intelligence, and many began to see humans in a new light. What had once been seen as fragile and ordinary was now recognized as capable, adaptable, and brave. Nara continued her training under Kian's guidance. She learned not only to anticipate danger but also to lead with strategy and confidence. The bond between them grew stronger every day. Nara understood that strength was not only physical but also mental and emotional. Kian had taught her that courage, loyalty, and intelligence could change the course of events, even against overwhelming odds. One evening, Nara and Kian walked through the palace gardens, the crystal trees glowing softly under the twin moons. The air was calm, filled with the gentle hum of the city recovering from battle. You have taught me so much, Nara said. Not just about protection, but about courage and leadership. I feel ready to guide Velora with strength and wisdom. Kian smiled. You have always had the potential, princess. I only guided you. The best leaders are those who see clearly, act wisely, and inspire others. You have all of these qualities. Nara looked at him, her eyes full of trust. And you will continue to guide me. Kian nodded. Always. As long as I am here, I will protect you and Velora. That is my choice, and it is my duty. The Queen watched them from a distance, quietly observing the bond between human and princess. She realized that Velora had gained more than a protector, they had gained a symbol of courage and unity. Kian's presence had reminded them all that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes, the unexpected could change everything. As the days passed, Velora's defenses grew stronger, and the citizens felt safer. Scouts from the enemy fleet did not return immediately, but Kian continued to train the palace guards and Nara. They improved communication systems, optimized energy barriers, and developed new strategies for observation and prediction. The city was prepared for the future. Kian also shared stories of his home world, teaching Nara about humans and their ways of thinking. She learned that humans survived not by strength alone, but by adaptability, cleverness, and loyalty to those they cared for. Velora, a world of advanced technology and superior strength, had much to learn from this perspective. One evening, Nara stood on the balcony, looking at the stars above. Kian joined her, silent for a moment, both of them watching the vast universe. Do you think they will return? Nara asked softly, thinking of the enemy fleet that had attacked Velora. Kian considered the question. Perhaps. But even if they do, we are ready. We have learned, adapted, and strengthened. We will face whatever comes with courage and strategy. Nara nodded. She felt a deep sense of peace and confidence. With Kian by her side, she knew that Velora could face any challenge. The city was safe, the people were inspired, and the princess had learned the true meaning of leadership and protection. The queen joined them once more, placing a hand on Nara's shoulder. "You have learned much," she said. "And your human has proven that strength is not always measured by size or power. Courage, loyalty, and intelligence are just as important." Kian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, it is my honor to serve and protect. I will continue to do so as long as I am able." Nara smiled. "Together, we will prepare for the universe. We will learn, adapt, and protect Velora. Nothing can break the bond we share or the strength we have built." The twin moons rose higher in the sky, casting soft light over the city. Velora glowed with a quiet brilliance, a city that had faced danger and emerged stronger. The human who had once been a stranger was now a protector, a teacher, and a symbol of courage. Princess Nara had grown into a leader, guided by trust, intelligence, and loyalty. In the days that followed, Velora's people celebrated their safety, honoring the efforts of their defenders and recognizing the wisdom of the human who had guided them. Kian's presence inspired curiosity and respect for humans across the planet. The Velorans began to see that strength could come in many forms and that courage and loyalty were as powerful as any weapon. Princess Nara continued to work with Kian, learning and preparing for the future. Together, they explored new ways to protect the city, strengthen the defenses, and inspire the people. Their bond was unbreakable, built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. And though the universe was vast and full of unknown challenges, Velora was ready. The human had shielded the city with courage, intelligence, and loyalty. The princess had learned to lead with strength and wisdom. The queen had recognized the unexpected power of a human. The story of Velora had changed forever, marked by bravery, strategy, and the unshakable bond between Princess Nara and her human protector, Kian. As the stars shone above and the city thrived below, Nara whispered softly, "Thank you, my human, for everything." Kian smiled, looking at the horizon. "It is my honor, Princess. Together, we will face the future. Whatever comes, Velora will endure." The palace glowed under the twin moons, a symbol of unity, courage, and protection. The battle had ended, but the legacy of trust, bravery, and human ingenuity would live on. Velora was safe, its people inspired, and its princess and her human protector ready for any challenge the universe could bring.